One of the greatest rivalries currently going on right now, since that of Goku and Vegeta with people who have equally as questionable hair designs, is Rand Paul versus Dr. Fauci, except one is totally not qualified to be there because he keeps getting bitched out, his lies keep getting exposed, and yet he is still held up as some sort of prophet for the future. I am referring to the great Rand Paul bitching out Dr. Fauci for him sitting, being questioned by the Republican Senate or some Senate committee about the United States funding the lab in Wuhan. What were they funding? I can't talk about it. I don't think I can. I don't want to push the envelope. It's not necessary. It's just more or less important to tell you that Rand Paul is an absolute Chad. I just wish he had a personality and a better barber. Wednesday on Fox News Channel's America's Newsroom, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky sounded off on his hearing with National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Director Anthony Fauci from the day before regarding the organization of the coronavirus and whether American tax dollars supported research that could have led to the outbreak. Yes, and that's as far as we'll go. Fauci asserted at the hearing that the National Institute of Health does not fund any of the research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. But Paul maintained the White House chief medical advisor is telling verifiable falsehoods. Yeah, we got the receipts. Paul's got the receipts, but Fauci has 45 masks. So who's going to win? Don't know. Host Bill Hemmer asked Paul what the theory is regarding the organization of the virus. I would say, we don't know for certain, but I would say that Fauci said yesterday was verifiably false. He had no NIH money. Oh, he said no NIH money went to the Wuhan Institute for gain of function. That must be a thing. Maybe I'm just fucking dense on this. Well, the main doctor there, the one they call the bat scientist or bat woman, probably significantly less cringe than the television show of the same name. She wrote a paper. This MIT scientist have looked and said they was gain of function, meaning juicing up these viruses to make them very potent and infect people. She wrote this paper and in her paper acknowledged her funding came from Dr. Fauci's group, the NIAID, which is part of the National Health Institute of whatever, who cares? Fauci's soapbox. We copacetic? Good. So he is verifiably telling you something that is not true. Who would have thunk it? After a year of wishy-washy takes, after a year of circling back and flipping sides that makes Jen Psaki dizzy and jealous all at the same time, you're telling me this motherfucker's lying to the Senate? I cannot believe that. I am astounded and I am personally offended. Dr. Fauci came to Congress yesterday and lied, he added, we can't prove the virus came from a lab. I'm not saying it did. I'm saying there's very much suspicious evidence that it might have. Yeah, exactly. Just have questions. Are you still allowed to ask them on this platform? Susan, can we ask these questions? Don't know. Okay, don't know. But what we can ask is, I was going to talk about this in the previous video. I had a nice segue and everything planned, but I missed it. Let's talk about Fauci's boss and how he is mentally compromised, to say the least. His mental and physical condition cannot be ignored. More than 120 retired generals and admirals signed an open letter questioning Biden's mental health and backing election thingies. Yay! Well, if the COVID shit's not going to get me banned, might as well talk about this. A group of more than 120 retired military officers have written President Joe Biden to tell him his election was less than legitimate while questioning his mental acuity. Mental acuity. MENTAL. Pool cue. The letters echo former President Donald Trump's claims of widespread stuff, which have not borne out in the courts because the courts refuse to see the lawsuits. Fuck! Without fair and honest elections, that accurately reflect the will of our people, our constitutional republic is lost, the letter from retired officers say. I agree. That's why I'm looking forward to the results of the Arizona audit that have been going on in silent. They should be wrapping up shortly. Haven't heard anything out of it. The people who were in charge of it, like Dr. Kelly Ward, have been fairly mum on everything, and she would be the one who would be sounding alarm if anything fishy was going on. Either way, and everything seems to be going swimmingly, so I'd imagine that Spurg Fit will probably be happening somewhere around Independence Day, I'd imagine. Should fucking kick off nicely. The group calls itself Flag with an L. Officers for America. What are you guys, fucking edgy preteens? And consist of retired military officers, including generals and admirals and boomers. The FBI and Supreme Court must act swiftly when election irregularities are surfaced and not ignore them, as was done in 2020. That's what many governors around the country are doing, okay? They're shoring up their election integrity laws. Meanwhile, Democrats are screeching about racism when race has nothing to do with it. The letter, called an open letter from retired generals and admirals, was reported by Business Insider. Fuck them. It echoes Trump's claims that absentee ballots are not secure as it goes after Biden, who serves as commander-in-chief to the military. But don't worry, these guys are all retired, so Biden doesn't necessarily have clearance and jurisdiction over them. Election integrity demands ensuring that there is one legal vote cast and counted per citizen. Legal votes are identified by state legislature approved controls using government IDs, verified signatures, etc. They write. There's the big old open letter right there. A whole bunch of stuff, such as the free flow of information is critical to the security of our republic. Yeah, pretty standard, but in this day and age, based opinion, as illustrated by freedom of speech and press in the First Amendment of our Constitution, censoring speech and expression, distorting speech, spreading disinformation by government officials, private entities, and the media is a method to suppress the free flow of information, a tyrannical technique used in closed societies. See every socialist nation around the world. And Canada. Well, what's the difference? I need not be redundant. We must counter this on all fronts, beginning with removing Section 230 protection from big tech. I just picked that one out of the ether, but I couldn't agree with it more. These fucking old chuds got it. The rule of law is fundamental to our republic and security. Anarchy, as seen in certain cities, cannot be tolerated. We must support our law enforcement personnel and insist that DAs, our courts, and the DOJ enforce the law equally, fairly, and consistently towards all. Yeah. Exactly. And it starts with the Supreme Court picking up fucking cases that are specifically designed for them. Oh, we don't have jurisdiction. Latches. Standing. No. Roberts, do your fucking job, competent dickhead. Today, many are calling such common sense voter ID controls racist in an attempt to avoid having fair and honest elections. Ooh. Using racial terms to suppress proof of eligibility is itself a tyrannical intimidation tactic, they write. The retired officers raised doubts about Biden's mental capacity and referenced Nancy Pelosi as somebody sharing in similar side effects and symptoms. Move to get assurances about the nuclear codes away from him days after, yes, the Capitol Hill riot. Yeah, you guys remember that story. They're like, maybe the president shouldn't have sole capability to declare war. Maybe that's not such a good thing to allow that fucking fumbling old asshole who could just be doing a header at any goddamn moment and hit the launch nuke button at a fucking moment's notice. The mental and physical condition of the commander-in-chief cannot be ignored. He must be able to quickly make accurate national security decisions involving life and limb anywhere, day or night, they write. And for Biden, night begins at about 4:30 when they put the old parrot screen over his cage and he falls asleep until about 10 in the morning. It's sad that he's the president. The group call themselves retired military leaders who pledge to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Here's a big old long list. It is looks to be from every branch out there. It is extensive. It probably has a bunch of status types that he would have agreed with to begin with, but the fact that he is just a shambling old gaffe machine that is more likely to say something racist than coherent on a given day is cause for pause and a reason to be concerned about the health and nation of the United States. It's sad. You know what? about, geez, if you want to see peak Biden, just go back to like the late 80s, okay? The dude could deliver a speech. The guy was a great orator. He had many of a resounding performance in the Senate chambers. Just don't look at his 88 run when he was plagiarizing literally anybody he could get a speech from, because he could, in all fairness, he could deliver it perfectly, wonderfully, in fact. But that's just not the case anymore. The old man is far from being great. He's the same guy who couldn't tell the difference between his wife and his sister. Sometimes you can look at what he's saying and be like, yeah, okay, that was a gaffe. Okay, yeah, you kind of fucked up. But eventually that pile of stuff starts to just rise exponentially, and it goes from Biden being Biden to somebody just to give the old man a warm blanket and a nice place on the front porch. Because the overarching opinion of these many generals, these distinguished individuals, if we keep following people like Biden, if we keep following people like Fauci, we're just not going to be the same superpower that we were not but a few months ago, okay? We're all going to be resigned to the fate of Seth Rogen, who is the literal embodiment of a fucking coomer at this point. Seth Rogen says wife Lauren wants kids less than I do. Good, we want your kids less than you guys do. As the actor reveals, they have so much fun together smoking weed and watching movies naked. Well, it's better than you acting, or rather performing the exact same individual in every fucking film that you're ever a part of. Talentless asshole. You were funny in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. It was the same character that you kept going with for the rest of your career. Now you just dish out hot takes on fucking Twitter and everybody just dunks on you. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. If you want to end up like this, take away all the wealth, take away the fame, and then you'll get the life in which the Democrats are offering you at this point. Sit at home. Remember, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. Care of the Great Reset. You won't have a job to go back to. You won't have the means to get to that job, even if you had it with the fuel shortage. You have to stand in lines in order to get food at the grocery stores that are going to be allocating however much you want to get. And that's a good thing. You can just sit at home, press the screen, live your life out like Wall-E. But that's alright, because you can sit around with your girlfriend or sexually assigned partner, sit around just smoking weed and cooming all day. Sounds like a fucking blast now, doesn't it? That's why I fight so hard, because I don't want to end up like him. Okay? Just somebody who, whenever his name is brought up in conversations, like, oh yeah, I liked him 20 years ago. Yeah, he was funny. I wondered what happened to him. And then you take a look at what he's currently doing right now, and you just go, ugh. You recoil like you hear Bill Clinton substitute teaching at a preschool. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.